See you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, we're back. We have some new watches that we have not seen before.
Yes.
And we have some recognizable watches, but in different colors, with different complications, with different variations. Let's talk about these two pieces here.
So, two very different models. Here, first is on the Pioneer with a 40mm case. For the first time, completely in gold, with a beautiful Burgundy color dial on a double hairspring Tourbillon. Again, something exciting, new, with a different play on colors, with this khaki rubber that we believe goes extremely well with the Burgundy. Was another exercise that we do. We're working on different colors on how to renew that. And then at the same time, something completely new for us with a new model that we developed with our sister company, Agenor, that developed this 30 seconds Retrograde. What we really wanted here is, again, on the Pioneer to have entry-level sort of small complication, but that is quite spectacular, that you can see. You see with the cam that you see turning on the dial side, something important. We want to be able to show that with the 30 seconds. So the 30 seconds make it that you see it quite often with a jump on a beautiful funky blue dial, 42.8mm case, and also based on our new movement, the HMC 201.
I've not seen too many retrograde seconds, 30 seconds especially. Yeah. It's typically 1 minute.
The design process on a watch like that was quite complex. How do you add 30 seconds retrograde to a Moser design? Is something that we went through a lot of different drawings before finding, we believe, the right way to do it. There are watches that are more complex to make than others, or to design than others. That was typically one that was quite complex to design. If you look well at the cam and the needle below and the bridges, we put a lot of importance in the finishing of all that, because at the end of the day, that's what you want to see on the watch. As every year, we continue to develop the Pioneer collection. The entry into Moser, very versatile sort of product, easy to wear, 120-meter water resistance. And we have it in two sizes, with the 40mm that we started last year and the 42.8mm. But the particularity this year is not only that we did a new color for the 40mm with this beautiful cosmic green, of course, invisible logo, but most importantly, we have a new movement with the HMC 201. The particularity here is that we wanted really to modernize it, modernize the look of it with a skeletonized mass on it, so you can see more of the movement, but also more skeletonized all over the different bridges, so you can see much more, and with this anthracite finish. So, but we wanted to continue to develop also the 42.8mm version. The interesting part about this watch, which is a citrus fume dial, is that November last year, when we usually, or October, so more or less like now, we usually more or less ready for what we will be launching next year. And at that time, we had another watch that was supposed to be on the 42.8mm. And every time I was speaking with my brother, I was like, it's not exciting. Yeah, it's an easy watch. None of us are getting excited about this watch. And one night he got annoyed of me complaining. He's like, okay, let's do something. And we started to play through WhatsApp. So he was in Switzerland, I was in Dubai. And through WhatsApp, he was on his Photoshop and playing with colors and removing things, adding things. And basically in, I don't know, an hour more or less, we arrived to this watch. And the next day we sent it to the production team and we're like, yeah, we want to do this with the Superluminova around, etc. So something extremely different for the Streamliner. For the first time, a full concept dial with a striking color, also based on the new movement. You know, we always say we want to attract also a younger crowd, and that's a sort of product that I think excites different crowd.
Exactly.
And we had a huge success, more than we expected. Huge success on this product.
It's so interesting because when we think about entry level, that's typically the one that's least thought of. It's just kind of a gateway into the brand. You're literally owning a name of the brand on your wrist. But here, the amount of thought process that's gone into this watch, into developing the Pioneer collection itself. But I feel like the way that these watches, the Pioneer collection, needs to be understood is that this is an everyday style watch. It has that versatility. It allows you to wear it for anything practically because it can withstand that robustness, while at the same time you turn around, you have the anthracite finish, you have hand beveled bridges, you can see the entire gear train practically, which is something that we don't often see in movements, in automatic movements. And this is again, one of the questions I was thinking to ask you, like, is it worth it doing everything in-house? But I think the answer again comes back to this, that you can have an entry-level piece, but have a movement that doesn't exist.
Yeah. And it's something we need to continue to do even more. My brother worked a lot on that, is to master even more in-house. That's our objective. As you know, we're one of the handful brands that do our own hairsprings. That offer us so many possibilities to create new things through the double hairspring, the cylindrical hairspring, etc.
I mean, it gives you freedom at the end of the day.
It gives us freedom.
You become truly independent because not just do the dials and the cases, but you can develop the entire movement, more of control over the manufacturing process. We're going to talk about this at the end.
All right.
But let's talk about the Streamliner Skeleton.
How do you make a Moser skeleton? It's not how to make a skeleton.
It's hard to make a good-looking skeleton.
It's hard to make
on display.
A good-looking and Moser skeleton. So it's something, again, that took a lot of design, of work, great work also from the product side and the engineering and the watchmaking side to skeletonize it the right way. But at the same time, that when you look at it, you can clearly see it's a Moser. So it's a double hairspring, fully skeletonized tourbillon. Often the problem on skeleton, you cannot really see the time. That's why we have this contract with the rose gold indexes and hands that really give depth and also easier way to read the time with a global light on the hand. This asymmetry sort of look to the skeleton on an automatic movement. We're very proud of this watch. Was been a very great success. Again, easy to wear with a 40mm case, as you can see with our bracelet that we talked about in the previous video.
Yeah, long time ago.
A long time ago.
I think the case really helps. The case is so iconic that you could put anything inside and that would immediately become Moser, essentially. And I'm blind. I'm practically blind here, but I can still read the time.
Perfect.
So that's like a test for you that this works. The legibility is still quite good on this. Now we come to something very special, something that I was very excited to look at because I love vintage watches. Most of my watches are either vintage or vintage inspired. When I saw this, I immediately remembered a 1945 Moser. I was like,
you have a very good memory.
I've seen this before.
Yes.
No, because Moser hasn't done a lot of these.
No.
This was immediate. There was just one piece, especially with that font, with that logo.
Yeah, Massena Lab is a lab, as mentioned, where they create different collaboration with different artists, watchmakers, etc. Owned by a very good friend of ours, William Rohr, that has been a very good friend for many years. It's probably the collab that we had the most discussion, or the longest discussion before we launched it. It's been probably 6 or 7 years we're talking to do something together. William is a very, very good friend of ours, of my brother and myself. We've been, we're having every time during the shows or when we go to New York where he's based, etc. We have a dinner together to speak about the watch industry in general, about the different watches, the different brands. So he's somebody extremely interesting to talk with. After one of those many dinners we had together where we've been trying to work and finding the right collab, this piece that you were talking about came out. And we're like, that's an amazing piece for a collab. Collaboration is all about doing products and exercise of watches that will not always be part of your collection, that are things that are different. Here was really to be inspired by that watch and try to reproduce it as close as possible in modern age. So using, yes, the logo from that time from h.moser with a 45 minutes chronograph on it, with a Dubois Desprats module on it, but based on our automatic movement on this funky blue color. So the color is a bit adapted to our modern age, because of course it's still a modern Moser with super luminova on all the numbers, will also be on the hands, which gives a really unique Moser look. It's an endeavor case, and it will be 100 pieces limited edition.
You know why I love this watch so much? I love this because it's very easy for a brand to get excited and move in one direction, which is the future. Here, you guys stopped and looked back and paid tribute to the past, because Moser does have a very long history, which isn't talked about as much. Even for me, I don't know so much about. Could you tell us a little bit about what was the original Moser philosophy that you guys evolved on?
There are a few things, but and I hope we will speak more about it. We're coming close to the 200 years anniversary in 4 years, in 2028, because the brand was created in 1828 by Heinrich Moser. First of all, he was one of the biggest watchmakers throughout the 19th century. We estimate that during his lifetime, they produced over 500,000 watches.
Wow.
So you can imagine, we won't see that in our lifetime.
This was before modern mass production, manufacturing.
He was a pioneer in many things, not only in the watch industry. He was an entrepreneur in many different other businesses. And that's something that I think we're trying to keep in the philosophy of the brand today. Of course, the product evolved from his lifetime to today. And I had this discussion on a panel today, like, if you're a 200 years old company, you should respect and do through what was done 150 years ago. I don't believe in that. I think any product needs to evolve while keeping a philosophy of brand. And, we hope today that Heinrich Moser will be proud of where his brand is today and how it's been represented, knowing that it went through many up and down throughout the 200 years of its history. It's even disappeared throughout the quartz crisis, and then was relaunched in 2005 by the great grandson of Heinrich Moser. Went through difficulties again, and that gave us the opportunity to take over the brand in 2012 with my brother, on the edge of bankruptcy. So was really could have disappeared again. And throughout the last 12 years, we tried to give a strong identity to the brand. We tried to really revive, positioning the brand in a more modern age, which I think has been working extremely well. We needed to evolve from where it was when we took over, which was maybe a bit too classy sort of brands.
Right.
And I think the strengths of today is that, yes, it has this mix of very respecting tradition, because we really believe in respecting tradition of the watchmaking industry, of the Swiss watchmaking industry, and at the same time, bring a modern look to the watches. And both goes together.
That's what I was saying in the beginning, that, you know, again, coming back to that balance, walking that tightrope, you're really good at that. And I think that confuses some collectors as well, that why do we like Moser so much when all I wear is a sports watch? And here we have a very traditional looking watch, but then it has funky colors, it has summer vibes, it has capable specifications to be worn, you know, when swimming, to be worn climbing mountains.
Again, as mentioned earlier, it needs this versatile approach to it. I believe a watch needs to be worn when you go to the beach, but can also be worn when you wear a tuxedo. And that can be the same watch. And we try to have that
in every watch.
In all our watches, yes.
Yeah. Bertrand, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Abdullah, was a great talk.
All right.